through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life. And always happy to be hanging out with you here, like I said, inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal with you all throughout Central and Upstate New York. You can find Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, and of course, you can also find them on 401 South Salina Street. All of these inside of Syracuse, New York, those three locations, and then you'll find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, in their giant behemoth of a brown-striped building, the double-decker that they have out in Manlius, where they just expanded their parking lot in recent history here, so make sure you go and check them out. And celebrating its 1 year, I can't even believe it, celebrating its 1 year anniversary, which I was reminded of on social media and posted that yesterday, the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, Sweetheart Corners drive-through Cafe Kubal is celebrating its 1 year anniversary, and you can celebrate with them this week by heading out there to North Syracuse's location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at that Sweetheart Corners location. So, with all of that being said, we appreciate you being a part of the show, and inside of MomPopsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', our first hour of the broadcast will feature a Dolphin Dive with Nate Champion, no stranger to the broadcast, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball program, coming off of the first session of his prospect camp and heading into the kids camp and team camps, as well as another prospect camp coming up this summer with Nate Champion. Very excited to talk with him about his prospect camp, how it went in session one, as well as the importance of prospect camp and his thoughts about it overall, and why a student athlete should make sure they get themselves out there to these prospect camps and what it can do for you. So really do appreciate the fact that we get to do that this morning in Dolphin Dive inside of our multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne. And then on to Dave Pasiak joining us here in the second half of the first hour as we continue the NBA Finals discussion. And of course, in hour number two, as you know, we'll end this video and start a new one. On Wednesdays, we cut the video feed in half because our fantasy football coverage is vast and deep, getting into the teams all over the country. Today is the fantasy NFC wide receivers conversation of 16 teams. We'll be talking about their wide receivers and who you should be looking at drafting coming up this year. So, with that being stated, I am always happy and always elated to bring a friend back onto the show, and that is Mr. Nate Champion here with us from Moyne College. Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Dan. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. And Nate, I mean, you're coming off of the prospect camp. It was just a few days ago on June 11th, session one, and here we are on June 15th. So what were your takeaways from this prospect camp, and just kind of bring me into the talent that you were able to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think the prospect camp was awesome. We had 30 high school student athletes there, ranging from the states of Maine to Pennsylvania, obviously a ton in New York as well. So we even had some in New Jersey. So, you know, it was a great range of talent and a range of grade levels as well. You know, it gave us an idea, especially for us in the local area with younger talent, as well as some of the guys that are going to be eligible for us to recruit in the summer. So it'll be it was just a great success, to be honest, and it felt good to be back at Ted Grant Court and on the campus of Lemoyne, and just being able to show off our facilities that we're very lucky to have. So I thought the first session was great success, and looking forward to our kids camp coming up, and then the team camp and the last prospect camp in August.
What were the main teaching points and kind of things that you honed in on at the prospect camp that you just had?
Yeah, we spoke about, our two main, core, I guess, attributes that we look at would be, your attitude and effort. It's something that you can control. It's something that we don't need to coach, and you need to be able to showcase that at all times, whether it's going great for you or it's not going so well for you. You can always control that, how hard you play. And then also team basketball. Everybody can score. Everybody can. Everybody wants to score and make shots, but that's not all that coaches are looking for. And we look at guys that are they making the right plays, and are they playing the right way? You don't want somebody that doesn't pass the ball and tries to go 5-on-1 to the basket and try to shoot through double teams and things like that. I want to see you make the right play, and then when your time comes, be able to make that shot and make a play on the offensive end.
And like you said, teaching them, the importance of team and the importance of not just making it all about themselves and that responsibility, and speaking with them about, like you said, the things that you don't have to teach them. Do you feel that, coming out of this first session, that you were around a bunch of student athletes that were learning kind of personal responsibility? Do you think they already had it? I mean, what was kind of the mix-up of those that you felt like, okay, you know what, you're not trying to do this all on your own, and we are seeing that personal responsibility? How much of that did you see, young student athletes not having to be taught to make it about the team and not just about themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was something that they really bought into, and that's an attribute to their high school coaches and AAU coaches as well. But, it's something that when, as a coach, you see that when you are wanting to get a point across, or you want them to focus in on a couple of things, and they do that, that's something that you can check off, in your scouting report that you do for each kid, and the ability to listen, the ability to put your words into action and perform still at a high level. And that's something that we saw a lot of the kids do. And obviously you have to remind them at times, but, for the most part, they did a really good job.
So when you look at this, speaking here with Nate Champion, the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach, coming off of session 1 this summer of the prospect camp, how important is it, in your opinion, as a former player and as a head coach now, to go to prospect camps? And I was just talking with a family about this a couple days ago, and it made me think of you immediately, and I actually brought them up I brought you up to them because they're I think they're in the Midwest right now, currently, and we were just kind of discussing the situation. And there was a kid that feels like he has the talent, feels like there's something there that he wants to showcase, and his team didn't do that well, so there wasn't a lot of recruitment to that, and kind of got left by the wayside, so to speak. So he wanted to go out individually and show his talent and show what he can do. And so the family said, like, hey, we don't really know where to go in this respect. And, I'm in this world so long that, in my head, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you got to do this. Like, everybody knows it. And they didn't. And I said, well, you definitely should get out to a prospect camp and make it a point to, put yourself out there. You can show your individual talent. You could show how, you work with different people. But now you take it upon yourself, and the onus is on you, instead of just saying, well, hey, I'm on a team that's not really recruited, so I guess I'm out of luck. And like I said, I brought up your camp, and I said, there's camps like, what Nate's doing and Nate here in the community, where you should get yourself out to this. You have no excuse, and you can show yourself and put yourself, out there in a place where they can see you and you can really show them what you have and what you need to work on. So what is the importance to you of prospect camp? Because I felt that a couple days ago with a kid that kind of felt lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that situation, I think it's a great resource to have. Somebody that does have talent that maybe is flying under the radar and isn't being seen as much due to different circumstances. I think it's a great way to get your name out there, to, get on coaches' radars. And you're being looked at by not only the coaching staff that's hosting the camp, but also other coaching staffs that come to the camp. We had 10 other coaching staffs that were in the stands watching our 30 guys. So, as somebody that may not be recruiting, but feels that, or be being recruited, but feels that, they can play at the next level, it's a great opportunity for them to be seen by multiple coaching staffs in a smaller setting at times too, than just, the big AAU tournaments where it's very easy to get lost and get overseen. So I think in that aspect, the prospect camps are a tremendous resource to utilize. But there's people that go and they're on the Nike EYBL circuits where they're being seen by every coach in the country, and they don't necessarily need to go to them. But for other team or other players and other student athletes that may be flying under the radar, or feel like they have an opportunity to showcase their ability and that they can play at a higher level, I think it's a great opportunity to do that. And we encourage our local and out-of-state prospects to come and showcase it. it's also an opportunity to see a campus as well. And we offer a campus tour and meet with admissions counselors as well. So you're not only getting a day of basketball, but you're also getting a nice campus tour and academic information, which, as you know, Lemoyne's one of the top academic institutes in the Northeast region. So it's really nice to showcase not only our facilities that we're lucky to have, but also our beautiful campus as well.
Yeah, and that was a side of it. Speaking here with Nate Champion of Lemoyne College, men's basketball head coach this morning in this edition of Dolphin Dive, which comes to you every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have these throughout the month. Looking at that side of it that we talked about going into the prospect camp, that if you sign up for the prospect camp and came over to Lemoyne, that it wasn't just going to camp, it wasn't just playing ball, but it was the opportunity to go around campus and get a tour and, have that admissions side of it. What can you tell me about how that went and just what that was like and what Lemoyne tried to do to really create an immersive experience that had to do with the student and not just the athlete?
Yeah, I think it was awesome just how our admissions team embraced the prospect camp as well. Hannah Cross and Haley Beltram in the admissions office set it up with tour guides and information session and the whole 9 yards. So they really went out and, kind of went above and beyond to showcase our campus. And as you know, it's always sunny and 85 in Syracuse. So, we get to showcase the beautiful campus as well and some nice sunshine and weather to make it, shine just a little brighter. And it's nice, you see just how nice of a campus we do have and the people that come back from the tour going, wow, that's a great facility that you guys have. And not only your facility, but the buildings and, the construction that's going on at Lemoyne, and it's a growing school. So it's a great opportunity for us to be able to showcase that as well. And like I said, the admissions team did a great job, and it helps them too, just getting prospective students for the college as well.
Yeah, and one hand washes the other side of a thing. And, in the world we live in today, Nate, and you and I were talking about this off the air recently, it's really become so athlete-centric. And with NIL and the transfer portal and all of that, it's become a me society. It's become more free agency. It's become how do we make money going to a school and whatnot. And we don't talk about the student enough. Here on this show we do, but nationally you don't hear that. And so, for you to have that side of it in your prospect camp, how important was that for you? And how important is it for you to establish this student side of student athlete and not just do what every coach does, which is say, hey, we care about the student and it's about classes. And we know that that's not always true. But in your case, you made it a part of your camp. So why is the student in student athlete so important to you personally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important simply for the fact that whether your basketball career or, athletics career stops in high school, or you're able to continue on to, college, and for some people that are lucky enough to go and have a crack at a professional career with it, at some point the ball does stop bouncing. And if you don't have that piece of paper with a degree on it, it's really hard to walk into a career where you're going to have a lot of success and, be okay financially. It's an opportunity to get some of your education paid for, and an opportunity to, utilize and set up what you're going to do with your career moving forward. And I think it's just, it's very important to get that across, because, we do think, basketball is the only thing I need to do, or whatever sport it is that you're playing, this is my life. Well, at some point, that has to change, and, the basketball stops bouncing. And whether it's, someone like myself that gets into coaching, or, you get into the business world, or whatever it is that you're going to do, you got to be able to utilize that education that you were given. And it's an opportunity to, play a sport that you love, and also have the opportunity to get a higher education, which is the most important thing. So I think it's something that we really touch on, and something that we stress to our guys, and that ball starts bouncing, you got to have a plan. You got to know what you're doing, and you got to have something to back up why you want to do that. And a bachelor's degree, or for some guys, even a master's degree, is something that is a pretty heavy punch to pack with your other skills and attributes that you can offer.
Yeah, and so, I mean, with this, and like you said, having both of those be a part of prospect camp, as you stated, it wasn't just your staff that was there at Moyne for this prospect camp that just happened a few days ago for session 1, and there's a session coming up here shortly, but to have that other coaching staffs were there, why was it important for you to do that, and why would you want to, do something like that to expand it out to not just your staff? Some people would not do that, Nate. Some people would say, hey, we're going to have the prospect camp. We're going to see all these kids. These are going to be, this is going to be our recruiting moment. Don't let anybody else go near them. Why was it important for you to have other coaching staffs there and say, hey, you know what? We're going to look at these kids together, and maybe we're going to recruit the same kid out of here, but we're going to allow the opportunity. I mean, you welcomed competition into the building. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have on years that you have to completely re-recruit your roster. I mean, usually you're going to maximize at, 6 or 7 recruits, but we had 30 people, so we only have a few spots open for the next couple of years, and that's something that why would I limit the resources coming in, and I can give an opportunity to other schools in the area to see them be successful, and I can get them to see some kids as well, and it's an opportunity for these kids to be seen from all different levels, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to see them, but also, an opportunity for them to be seen by other coaches, and, a little recruiting competition never hurts either.
Why do you welcome competition?
I think we offer a great facility and great opportunity here at Moyne, and, if other people can offer the same or better, good for them. But it's, something that I don't really worry too much about other people. I just try to do the best job that I can at Moyne, and you're going to recruit against others all the time, so it doesn't really make a difference to me.
I just love it. I love it. I was like, hey, come. You know what? Not only are we going to recruit against each other, and I'll see you on the trail, but why don't you come to my building, and we can do this right in front of each other? Like, I love that. I mean, your last name, and we've talked about this before, your last name is Champion, so you already know, you have that sitting there, and I'm sure that built something special with you growing up. But it is, I mean, to say, why don't you come right in here? Why don't you sit right next to me, and why don't we do this together? I mean, like, that is such a, I mean, I'm going to say, I could say it on the show. I can say whatever I want. This is my show. It's a ballsy move, Nate, and I like it. So,
yeah.
Shout out to you for that.
I have friends, too, in the area that coach, and, so it's always good to see them as well. So it's a little friendly competition, but it's also a great time to kind of catch up with people that you don't get to see all the time either.
And I love it. So, I mean, you got to see these kids. Let's get a little bit more personal into this situation that, of these 30 kids that you got to see. What did you take away from the group? And, are there some potential student-athlete prospects that really did come out of this session 1 of prospect camp? As far as the talent that came through, what can you tell me about, specifically some of the things that you saw and who you saw it from?
I mean, I think it shows a lot of the talent here in the area is very strong, from the senior class all the way down to, the going into the sophomore class, which was the range that we had at camp. And, they showcase their ability, and there's definitely kids that will be, following throughout the year. And, again, it gave us a great opportunity to see them play live and to see their growth and maturity as well from one year to the next. So it definitely was a success for us. And, I think it's something to be said for the high school coaches and AAU coaches that are teaching the game around here. They're developing some pretty strong student athletes.
What are you most excited about for the next session for Prospect Camp, and what did you take away from this that maybe you thought to yourself, hey, let's bring this into the next session, or let's take this out? I mean, you're learning as you're growing, so what about this session did you like the most, and has it affected kind of how you look at session 2, or what you want to look at more so when you have the next one in August?
I thought it was tremendous, just like I said, to be back on Moyne's campus and to showcase our facilities. But not only that, but the level of talent that we had in the gym was awesome. And I think, in the August session, the AAU will kind of be dying down, and that'll be over with for the summer. And now the team camps and things like that, for the most part, will be done as well. So we're hoping for, a little bit bigger of a turnout, but also, more talent, and hoping that some of the kids that showed up for the first session return back to showcase their growth and maturity over the summer. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's just a great opportunity for us as the coaching staff at Moyne to just get a hand on kind of what everybody is doing around here, and student athletes that we need to be in contact with and follow throughout the years to come. So it's just tremendous opportunity, not only for us as coaching staff, but for student athletes to showcase their abilities at a college level. So great opportunity all around, and really looking forward to August.
How much, when you look at this, like you said, a future down the road talent, and then talent that could be recruited more in the here and now, what was the balance of the prospect camp as far as the down the road guys and the guys that are more coming up to college sooner than later?
I would say it was pretty balanced. There was some really good young talent there, which is going to be fun to watch over the next couple of years. But there's also guys that we knew of that are in the area that that are very talented, and guys that we definitely need to follow. And then there are guys that we didn't know of before that came up to camp that we definitely are going to be needing to make road trips for. And I think that's something that is just the benefit of the prospect camp in general. So great overall showing, and something that for us it's nice to kind of get to know the area more and get to know the talent that's in the area as well.
Yeah, were those diamonds in the rough? I know you mentioned a little bit here, but were there some that you kind of took a step back and said, wow, I'm happy, like we were talking about before, about the importance of putting yourself out there? Were there some guys that came through where you're like, hey, I'm happy they came to this camp because I didn't know what I need to know over here? I mean, did anybody kind of make you take a step back and say, okay, thank goodness they came to this camp, because now we really need to keep an eye on them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a few players that I was kind of like, okay, they've improved a lot, or wow, I didn't know anything about this kid, and we need to follow up with them. So it was, just something for us. It's always nice to see new players come into the gym, and guys that you may not know of before, and be able to evaluate them and to teach them as well during the day. And great benefits for us as a coaching staff here at Moyne, and I'm sure for other coaching staffs that were there as well. I know there were a lot of questions and a lot of who's that guy, who's this guy, so going on, and I think it's awesome to showcase that and to be able to have that here at Moyne.
Before I let you go here, Nate, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the special Dolphin Dive in our multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne, giving you extensive coverage of the Dolphins all throughout the year, and always happy to be able to speak with student athletes, the administration, as well as future Dolphins, alumni, and coaches. Nate, as you get ready now, there's more to be had here with the kids camp that's going to be coming up at the end of this month, and at the time that we're talking, we have less than 2 weeks before it starts. June 27th to 29th, grades 1 through 4 will be there from 8:30 a.m. to noon on those days, and grades 5 to 8, 1 to 4:30 p.m., and 3 days of this kids camp. What are you most excited about with the kids camp? And as you shift gears from the prospect camp to the kids camp, what is it about the kids camp that we should know for some people that maybe haven't signed up yet?
I think it's just an opportunity for us to, interact with the younger athletes and kids in the community, and just, an opportunity for them to come and have fun. It's a great learning environment. We'll have a bunch of different games and teaching the games in different ways. And it's just a great opportunity for them to come out and enjoy the game. It's only $125, so, beats paying that for the day for daycare. So, come out and bring your kids to camp and just let them enjoy having a fun time with our coaching staff and our players that are going to be working the camp as well. And our goal for this is to create an environment where people are coming to our games and supporting our team, and we get to know them as well. Coming up to us before or after the game, saying, "Hey, coach, how's it going? Good luck tonight." And us being able to be more involved with the community as well, and to grow this. I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to have kids camp here in the area for the past 2 years. So it's just a fun time, and it's something that I really enjoy as well, getting to know the younger generation of basketball players and just kids in the community that, can support Lemoyne, and that we get to see grow up throughout the years and, make a difference in the community as well.
Yeah, building that relationship and building it not only with the kids but with the families, and having that connection to Lemoyne and having Lemoyne be top of mind. Very, very smart approach, and obviously a great approach to put yourself out there. What did you learn about yourself after this prospect camp? What did you take away and say, okay, you know what, this is my takeaway? Because, I mean, you're there teaching, but any good teacher, and I would say any great teacher, takes something away from teaching. So what did you take away from it?
I think, honestly, what I took away from it was just like how much I enjoy teaching the younger student athletes and teaching the game of basketball in a way that's fun and encouraging them to, continue to get better and to give back. I mean, the game of basketball has taken me all around the world, and it's something that, I'll always be grateful for, but I also want to give back to student athletes and give them an opportunity that I was given, So to me, it was just a day to kind of appreciate, kind of working through the past 2 years and being patient and understanding, the severity of COVID-19 and what was, but also, having the ability to just get out and teach and have guys back in the gym and, see guys with smiling faces on, enjoying the game of basketball. That was something I took away. It kind of gave me that a little gratitude. I know we speak about that a lot at Lemoyne, that attitude of gratitude, and it definitely gave me that kind of feeling very grateful that I'm in the position that I'm in to, teach the game that I enjoy so much.
Hey, coming from Nate Champion. Nate, I got to ask you this in closing. What's the fiance life like right now, and how is she doing? And I know we talk about food all the time, so has she made you anything special that I need to know about? Also, sidebar, I believe that you promised me months ago that she was going to make something that we were going to share, and that didn't happen yet, Nate, and I'm upset about it. So,
no, she's doing great. She's doing great. She's finishing up the school year over at Liverpool Community Schools, where she works as a speech language pathologist. So she's doing well, and we have a little vacation coming up at the end of July, which we're looking forward to. But she's been doing awesome, and it's always fun. We're always trying to do some new things and new adventures, and we've been cooking a lot at home. So, last night she made some squash and zucchini on the grill with some tilapia and rice. So can't complain too much. She always spoils me with all that type of stuff, and I'm very lucky to have someone so supportive as well.
You answered that question swimmingly, but you did not address the fact that you have not gotten me food from her yet. So
the food is coming, Dan. We just haven't gotten around to it yet. So
yeah, all right. Well,
we're trying to decide. You're doing all these food challenges. We got to figure out a way to get something that's going to wow you. There's so many good food challenges that you do and places that you're going. We got to be able to top those.
Well, you know what, Nate? I can tell you one thing. Appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you as a coach. and I appreciate the fact that you just tried to butter me up right before you got off the air. So as always, my friend, thank you for what you're doing in the community. I look forward to breaking bread together soon, and truly appreciate the fact that, like I said, it hit home for me of a prospect looking for a place to showcase themselves, and knowing that you're giving that opportunity here at Moyne right now. So it really is cool when you get to see that come full circle, and you can say, oh, okay, you know what? There's a great resource, right? Right with Nate Champion and Moyne College, you should look at this and look at this opportunity. So I'm definitely happy with what you're doing, and love always getting to spend some time with you. And like I said, thanks for trying to get in my good graces right before you get off the air.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for having me on again, Dan. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Be good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too.
Take care.
Bye.
That coming again from Nate Champion, Oh, the food is coming. Yeah, okay. When? So, you're talking to an Italian Hispanic man. We don't forget when somebody goes, I'll make you a plate. Where's the plate? So, all jokes aside, Nate's an awesome guy. And I am so happy for him. I'm so happy for his life. And I'm happy for the opportunity that we've had to sit down and get to talk so many times about so many different things. So, definitely make sure you get in touch with Nate. Head out to the camp. You could still get to the kids camp, the team camp, and the second session of the prospect camp, which is August 7th. Make sure you go right now to NateChampionBasketball.com. That is NateChampionBasketball.com. And as he told you, there's people that were traveling from Maine, so you don't have to be in the state of New York. If you are a prospect that wants to get seen, wants to get out there and show a coach what you can do, and not just the coaches of Moyne, but like Nate said, he invited coaches from competitors right into the building because he wanted, people to be able to see the talent that they have. And so it's not just one coaching staff. You come to Moyne, you get Moyne staff and other staffs to take a look at you. If you are a prospect that is looking to get recruited, go to NateChampionBasketball.com and put yourself out there. Put the onus on you. If you want somebody to look at you and look at your game, well, you go out there and maybe you showcase something great. Maybe you get told you got some stuff you have to work on. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But you have to take responsibility for the dreams that you are chasing. So make sure you get yourself out to the prospect camp, the kids camp, as well as the team camp. Those are all coming up here. The kids camp at the end of June, the team camp in August, and the second prospect camp on August 7th. NateChampionBasketball.com. Do it right now during this fast break. We'll take a step aside where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. When I come back, Dave Pasiak with a little DT and DP as Dave Pasiak joins me to continue our NBA Finals conversation as the Celtics make history for all the wrong reasons. They were 7-0 this postseason, coming off of a loss. They had never lost 2 games in a row in any series this postseason until it happened in Game 4 and Game 5. They're down 3-2, and they got Game 6 coming up in Boston. We'll talk about that with Dave Pasiak right after this fast break, where sports meets that thing called life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. I got to tell you, folks, I mean, you know that I love my job. You know that I love what I do, and I do what I love. We talk about that all the time and the importance of it. But Dave and I, Dave Pasiak, who's here with us now, we were having like the best conversation off the air. I just want to like cut and paste it and move it over here because we were having like exactly some of the things I want to talk about, and even some things I didn't even think of, and we're just having that conversation. So I'm very excited for this, and that's, you know, that's what I love. I love getting up in the morning, doing the show here in the Cafe Kubal Studios, and being able to say, you know what, like this, it energizes me. I love when guests come on the show and they make me want to be better, they make me want to work harder, and they make me excited to bring you the conversation. So with that being said, Dave Pasiak here with me. I call it DT and DP because, well, it sounds good. It's got a nice ring to it, and Dave's on the show enough that he deserves to have a catchy title there. So DT and DP here with you, the NVU Linden Hornets men's basketball head coach who spent a lot of time here in our community, recruits our community still to this day, and is somebody that is a fantastic lover of basketball, an analyst of the game, and of course a coach. So with that being stated, Dave Pasiak here with us to continue our NBA postseason conversation into finals game 6 coming up. Dave Pasiak, how are we doing today?
Doing great, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and you and I were talking about something. We spoke about it a little bit off the air, this morning. We spoke about it last week to a certain extent. I went off yesterday because I get it, but it annoys me as a basketball fan. I don't have a dog in the race in this game, right? You don't either. You're a Sixers fan. I'm a Raptors fan. And so, yesterday morning when I'm doing the show and this and that, I'm wearing a Raptors shirt, when I'm getting ready and I'm doing on Monday, I think I wore the Raptors shirt because I wear my team all year. 365 doesn't matter, win, lose, or I want them to win, but that's my team. So I don't have a dog in the race in this. I understand that Draymond Green works for the Warriors. And I looked up his numbers, and we were talking about it yesterday. 8.7 points per game in his career in a decade, 6.9 rebounds per game, and like 5.4 assists per game. So that's his average. He averages under a double-double. He's a good big man at assisting the ball, but he also benefits from the fact that the guys he's passing the ball to are Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and have been Kevin Durant. So, you look at his numbers, you look at who he is, and you understand that obviously he's not there to score the ball. He's not there to be your phenom on the boards. He's there to be your disruptive guy that gets in the head of the other team. But there's a place where I just get, and we were talking about this off the air, I get annoyed with having to see just this consistent baby type attitude, taking the ball in game 5 and going back to the bench, didn't want to give it to the Celtics. I mean, he averages 3 personal fouls in his career, and I told you off the air that should be 6. That's obviously the numbers, the data was fudged. But what is your take on him? If you were a coach in the NBA, is Draymond Green a necessary evil? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I think I guess my first comment, while you're ranting about him a little bit, would be that like Draymond is like he's in your head the way he's trying to get in the other team's head a little bit.
I just think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
I gotcha. I think that's precisely what he's trying to do, though, is just be a disruptor and get in people's head, take their focus off the actual game. But I think in terms of his value to the team, like, I think we've talked about this in the past. Like, he's a great fit for what they do in Golden State. So, and I also think, like you said, if you're coach, you want to do it. I think Steve Kerr does a pretty good job of managing him in this sense. Like in Game 4, Draymond was horrible, right? He was hurting the Warriors, and Kerr had the, and I think Kerr has the credibility in the locker room and the credibility with the team to be able to do this. But he sat Draymond during key stretches of that game, where a lot of coaches probably wouldn't have the nerve to do that with one of their perceived core guys or key players. So I think Kerr, like when Draymond was horrible, Kerr was not afraid to yank him. But I also think Kerr was really smart. If you looked at the very outset of Game 5, they ran a couple of things for Draymond, which they very seldom do. But they made a really conscious effort to get him going at the start of the game, and it kind of paid off. And he played well for them, I thought, in Game 5. Shenanigans notwithstanding. So, he's a good fit there. He's in a locker room that is, got some veteran solid guys like Curry and Iguodala and Thompson and whatnot. So, and I think Kerr seems to have the right disposition and enough credibility to be able to manage him. And it's a little bit like the Dennis Rodman thing. When Dennis was around, he was in strong locker rooms with with coaches that had some leverage and some backing. They seemed to manage him and get the most out of him. When he was in a couple situations in his career where that was lacking, that's when he really went off the rails. I think a guy like Draymond, and he's been smart enough to stay in Golden State too. So, I mean, he's in what for him is the perfect situation versus, if he went to a lower tier team where more was asked of him, and his shenanigans would be not countered by strong leadership and strong personalities in the locker room, then I think you'd really see him off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, give some credit. I like that. Give some credit to Steve Kerr. And again, I understand it works. I understand it works for them. I get that. It's just, to me, and I know that he has a special set of rules, right? There's a looser leash for him. Officials I feel like they kind of band together like, hey, this is a foul with anybody else, but let him go on this. I mean, he should foul out of every game. And I think the thing that bothers me about Draymond the most is, like, he fouls out of the game. I understand he's public enemy number one, but he's flipping off the crowd sometimes. There's just certain things that I feel like, you and I have sat and debated and spoke about whether or not a guy should be suspended a game for a hit where he's not a guy to typically do anything like that. And I watched the video over and over again, and I don't even know if it was really as bad as they say it was. And we talked about that in this postseason with the Warriors, a hit on Gary Payton II. And we had that conversation about whether or not this guy should be suspended. And I watched this conversation be had nationally for like 3 days. But Draymond does worse than that every game. So, it's just, to me, I think if I'm playing in the NBA, there'd be the frustration of, why do I get suspended when he doesn't even get called for it? So that to me, I don't like, but I don't want to spend any more time on Draymond. I want to jump. I don't want to. I can't. So, and the thing is, it's not, and I get what you're saying, like, hey, he's doing what he wants to do. I just think that I was okay with it for a while, but now I'm exhausted of it. Like, now I've become like, all right, we get it. You're a baby. You need attention. You're a fifth grader. I understand. But can we move on? And that's where I'm at. Keeping with the Warriors, Steph Curry goes 0 for 9. 0 for 9. Now, 16 points from any other player might be great, but 0 for 9 in this game from three-point range. The Boston Celtics, and I cannot overstate this enough, have beaten the crap out of themselves. And in the NBA Finals, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Golden State. It's not that Golden State hasn't done good things. I'm just stating an obvious fact. In the games that the Boston Celtics have lost in this series, the 3 games that they've lost, they had 18 turnovers, and 15 turnovers. As a head coach, you have that many turnovers, and you get to double digits, and you start squeaking toward 20, 99.9% of the time you're not winning. In Game 5, they lost by 10. They missed 10 freebies. They missed 10 shots at the charity stripe and lost by 10. That's got to kill a coach. And on top of all of that, you have 18 turnovers, and the Warriors have 6. Your thoughts on not taking any credit away from Golden State, but how the Boston Celtics are beating up on themselves, and how the degree of separation in Game 5 was their fault at the line and their fault by giving extra possessions to a team that definitely doesn't need your help.
Yeah, that's been kind of a concern with Boston.
Yeah.
Throughout the playoffs. You go back into the Miami series, Milwaukee series, even the Brooklyn series to an extent, is they've had games where they've just been incredibly sloppy with the basketball and had giveaway possessions and basically shot themselves in the foot. And it's happened like you stated very well. It's happened in this series, and to one degree or another in the 3 games that they've lost. And I think they compound that sometimes too by like we were talking off air. I think Tatum has come up a little bit small in some big moments.
Yeah.
And I think that Marcus Smart and the team in general, and Marcus Smart in particular, I think they've had in key stretches they've forgotten that Tatum and Brown are their best players, and they'll go stretches without either of those guys getting a touch. And they kind of, Game 4 was an example of this. Both the last 2 games too. They get sucked into like feeling like they got to trade threes with Golden State coming down the stretch a little bit. The Warriors. There was one key stretch in Game 4 that sticks in my mind. Golden State takes a 3-point lead. Boston shoots like the next 3 or 4 shots possessions in a row. They feel the urge to shoot a 3, and none of them came from Tatum or Brown. It was like, at that like 4 or 5 minute mark, all of a sudden they feel like they have to match threes with Golden State, and I think that's a losing formula for them. And when you combine that with the with the turnovers and the free throws, the net result is the Warriors are 1 game away from a championship. But I think if Boston in the games they've reeled that in, I think has been, they've really been impressive all the way through the playoffs. I think the other thing that hasn't gotten a lot of talk is Boston. For all of Boston's size and length advantage, I mean, Golden State has kind of found a way to hold their own and at times get the best of Boston on the glass, and that's led to extra possessions as well. So, I think if Golden State ultimately wins this series, Boston's going to be kicking themselves for a long time, feeling like they let it get away.
Well, and I love that, and that was so eloquently put, simply put. Boston's going to be kicking themselves for this because, again, I mean, Golden State is good, but they're what's happening in Boston, what's happening with the Boston Celtics is, sometimes they look like a team that's going to command and win an NBA Finals, and sometimes they look like a team that just you wonder how do you make it this far with that many turnovers in a game. And if you look at their wins, their wins, the turnovers are minimized. They're down to 12, right? And there's only one of those games where the Warriors had more it was like 15 turnovers to 16 or something like that, but I mean, still close in that respect, and still Boston committing 15 turnovers. I mean, you as a head coach, when your team is losing games at the charity stripe and losing games with extra possessions being given up, what do you do? I mean, because you can have them shoot, 100 free throws in practice over and over and over again, and, obviously, the importance of not turning the ball over, but if you're if you're on the Boston Celtics staff right now and you're taking a look at this, what do you say to grown men who have played the game their whole lives, who are making really stupid mistakes, and some of them are coming in a place where you have multiple seconds to shoot, nobody's guarding you, and you can just breathe? I mean, yeah, the fans are booing and yelling at you if you're on the road, but I come from this school, and I was an 80 to 90% free throw shooter coming through high school. That's what I did. I shot free throws in the sleet. I didn't care what my coach thought. I can't miss free throws. That's how I treated it. I don't care if he's okay if I go 3 or 4. I'm not. So as a coach, what do you do when a team is losing by the exact margin that they're missing free throws by?
Well, I think that's the kind of thing as the coach. It's a kind of a delicate thing because you don't want it to become a mental block.
Right.
Big part of your audience is Central New York and Syracuse fans, and if you go back in SU history, there was a period of time for several years where they were one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, and they had all these, everybody was an expert on what they should do, and it became such an issue that that's all people focused on, and I think it became a mental block with their team, and they're a team that shot tons of free throws in practice. So I think as a coach, you really don't want to, I think you're more locked in on execution and game plan and everything. I don't think you really draw attention to the free throw thing as a thing by itself, as much as just your overall execution, and being mentally locked in. And I think that, that contributes to the free throw issue, that contributes to the turnover issue, that contributes to the rebounding issue, and basically all the things that put Boston in the situation they're in. And I think, the one thing you can't forget is Golden State's got a little of that too. Golden State has had probably not as pronounced and not as often as Boston in the playoffs, but they've had some games where really sloppy execution and ridiculous shot selection has gotten them in trouble.
Yeah.
And Curry can be a culprit of that, and Poole and Klay Thompson, those guys can be a little bit of culprit of that. But I think, you don't want them to be thinking too much about the shots they're taking either. Those are guys who are high confidence, high level shooters. And, when they have a little bit of a sloppy stretch, I think this is where I think Kerr is a really good players coach. He seems to have a way of bringing them back in without them second guessing what they're doing. And with Boston, you see that a little bit with White and where guys that were shooting well earlier in the playoffs, now they're kind of second guessing what they're doing a little bit. So there's certainly an art to it, and it's part of it is knowing your personnel, and part of it is just getting them to lock in on execution and being mentally sharp in general.
Well, I mean, is it just, I mean, youth in comparative to the Warriors and the time that they've been in the NBA together? Is it lack of experience in a situation like this in the NBA Finals? I mean, what do you attribute to the fact that Boston's kind of in their own head right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about that at the beginning of the series, that the combination of the home court and then having that core group of guys. Curry's playing at a really high level, but you look at, Green and Iguodala and Thompson, they're all on the downside of their career, but they're all, Thompson hasn't really fully come back from the injury, and I think, Draymond's a little bit on the decline, and Iguodala is definitely on the decline, and, health injuries and age and whatnot, but those guys still have that, people talk about championship DNA or heart of a champion, something like that. I think there's something to be said for that, having had that experience and also having that sense of urgency versus a team like Boston where, you look at them and their core, other than Horford, their core is young and you'd expect them to be together and to be a team that is in the mix for quite a while. And, maybe they, just from a maturity and an age and an experience standpoint, don't have quite the sense of urgency and quite the sense of we may not get the shot again that the Warriors do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, that they're talented, that they have it, but there's times in this series where I thought, okay, Boston can put this away. Boston can put this home, and then I watch Game 5 and I'm like, how did this team get here? How did they get this far? We talk, you and I were talking off the air about Marcus Smart, that I told you when he lines up for a three, he's just not the guy I want to take the shot. And, and you were talking, and I know you've discussed it here this morning, this Jason, you think about your personnel, all right? You got Jason Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown. Like, what are you doing that you're taking the shot? And I feel like I got to see Marcus Smart come through, and I believe I saw him in Summer League and after he got drafted. So, like, I have not been a Marcus Smart, like, I'm going to lean on you at the end of the game type of guy when it comes to taking the shot. They strictly taking the shot. So, I mean, what do you do in that case? I mean, is this like obviously the head coach has been in the league for a while, but is this kind of just being a first-time head coach and getting to know your personnel and kind of saying, hey, let's not have you do that. Let's give it to somebody else. I mean, I kind of wince, and I told you this morning when we were getting ready to have you on the air. I wince when he takes those threes. When he's there and he's on the wing and he launches, I'm like, that's not going in. And I guess, like, I look at this frustrated, like you said. Boston's trying to pound for pound with them sometimes and force these threes. But then on top of that, Marcus Smart is taking these shots that I just don't think are his role. What's your take on the Marcus Smart conundrum, and is he hurting the Celtics at all right now?
Well, I mean, I think on balance he's a plus for them. He had the one game where it was awful. I think it was Game 2, and Golden State beat him. But, I mean, it's a little bit on – like, I like Udoka a lot as a coach. I think he's done a great job as first-year head coach and, elevating Boston. Basically the same core they've had for a little bit in really elevating them to this level. And, I think defensively they really play in an elite level. I think offensively is where they tend to have some issues, with execution and shot selection. And the thing is, like, contrary to, what people like to say, defense wins championships. Well, in the NBA, great offense trumps great defense. I mean, it just does. Over a 7-game series, and when you have elite teams, and I think what Golden State has done a really good job of is taking like that size and length advantage that Boston has and flipping it in their favor, to where they've played small and Boston has kind of downsized a little bit to play with that and got caught up a little bit in having to match threes. Like, I think from Boston's standpoint, I think they got to find ways to keep Robert Williams on the floor. Like, when he's on the floor, they significantly changed how Golden State can play. I'd like to see him on the floor more, and I'd like to see them be more aggressive defensively for longer stretches. Like, throw the drop coverage in the trash can for the rest of the series. And when Williams was playing last game, I think they were like plus 10 or plus 11. So his impact at with rim protection, and he also covers pretty well, and gets out and kind of causes Golden State to be more disrupted offensively, and it takes them away from their flow. So I think the other thing that I think too is, we spent pretty much the whole segment talking about Boston.
Yeah.
There's a false narrative been going on the whole series that it's like Curry and a bunch of bums, that he's carrying this team on his back. And that's just a false narrative. I mean, Golden State is really talented too. And, it's not Curry with the, carrying like, you look back to the team LeBron took to the finals in his first couple of years, in the first go round in Cleveland, and some of the narrative and some of the commentary would have you believe that. And I mean, Golden State, we already talked about. They've got Thompson, Green, Iguodala. Those guys have all been multi-time All-Stars in the NBA. Multi-time champions in the NBA. Andrew Wiggins, who's been definitely after Curry, their best player, and the last game was their best player, period, and has probably been, on balance, the second best player in the series. People forget he's a former number 1 draft pick in the NBA, so it's not like he's a scrub that came out of nowhere either.
Yeah.
And they've got some good young talent, Poole and Looney, and so I think Golden State's got good personnel too. This narrative that Boston has like overwhelmingly more talent, I think, is a false narrative.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think somebody that thinks that it's Steph Curry and a bunch of bums is maybe just started watching basketball for the first time today. That is insanity. I mean, there's talent, and Wiggins, we talked about him. Was he going to, when we were talking about catalysts or guys that you don't expect, like, is he going to step up? He played the game of his life in Game 5, right? And in a day where Curry was quiet, Wiggins was loud as all get out. And, that cannot be understated. Klay Thompson, making shots too when Steph was struggling. This team finds a way, right? And we've seen Boston do that too. A championship caliber team finds a way to not make excuses, and they find a way that when the person that's supposed to be doing this isn't doing this, somebody steps up in their place. I know that it could be easy to answer this question because the Warriors are leading 3-2, and they've won championships with the guys on this team. But right now, who do you think is doing it better of the guys stepping up? I mean, is it clearly Golden State that when somebody doesn't do, if they're atypical to what we expect, that somebody just fills in that role and there's always an answer? Or do you think Boston is doing that well at times and making up for what Jason Tatum's not doing right, or making up for when Al Horford and Marcus Smart went, quiet and scored 2 points in a game? Who do you think is doing the best job at the next man up approach? Is it clearly Golden State, or do you think that Boston is doing that enough to be relevant?
Well, I mean, it's game to game. If you look back to Game 1, remember Tatum had a horrible shooting night.
Yeah.
Had a high assist game, and Horford and Smart and some of those guys really covered his lack of production. And then, like you said, the last game, Wiggins and there was a stretch where Poole and Thompson hit a bunch of big shots.
Yeah.
Remember, Golden State took control of that game with Curry on the bench at the start of the fourth quarter. So they did a really good job of covering Curry when he had a poor offensive game. it'll be very, very interesting. I think, Curry's been appointed. He's been anointed the MVP of the series almost from jump, and if Golden State wins. But if they have another game, like if they close it out, whether it be in Game 6 or Game 7, and Wiggins is the best player again, it'll be very interesting to see if where he would fall in the MVP thing. It's almost a little bit like when Iguodala won the MVP back in, I think, 15. They were down in the series early against the Cavaliers, and then Iguodala, they put him in the starting lineup, and he was really the combination of guarding LeBron James and what he brought to them offensively. He ended up the MVP, and I think part of Wiggins has guarded Tatum for significant stretches, and I think he's part of the reason that Tatum has struggled from time to time. So, if you get a repeat of Game 5 and Game 6 where Curry has a bad night shooting and Wiggins carries him, and is the best player, does that swing the MVP voting to Wiggins? I say no, just because it's kind of been predetermined that this is going to be Curry's, time. But I think it creates an interesting discussion if it plays out that way.
Well, I think it does, because Wiggins stepped up when Curry wasn't cutting it, and Poole's hit some fantastic shots. I do also want to get rid of I see something, I saw something this morning about how the Celtics win Game 6. And the statement was, they win Game 6 if they have less than 15, if they have 15 or less turnovers, and if they make at least 15 threes. Number one, 15 three-pointers, that's not happening a lot on a normal basis that a team is doing. Maybe Steph by himself, but that's, that to me I think is asinine. But the other side of it is, Dave, you're a basketball coach. You've been around this game forever. You played this game, you coached this game, you love this game. Most teams that commit less than 15 turnovers have a shot. It's just, how is that even a part of a conversation or a narrative? Like, yeah, if you commit single-digit turnovers, you're probably in good shape. If you commit 15 turnovers, you're probably not in good shape. Like, I think it's a clear-cut thing that Boston shouldn't be turning the ball over 15 to 18 times a game. I don't even know why that needs to be spoken about. And I'm not going to hold my breath that they're going to make 15 threes in the next game.
Yeah, 15 threes, it is a make-or-miss game. Sometimes that's all it comes down to, is being a make-or-miss game. You think about fourth quarter Game 1, third quarter of Game 4, Boston couldn't miss from 3, and that really tipped the scales in their favor. That's what got them back in Game 4, and so I think the whole turnover piece, I think, is really essential. I think if there's a turnover disparity like there was in Game 5, it's near. Boston would have to be at a really, really high level offensively, otherwise, in terms of shot efficiency, and they'd also have to be. And Boston has defended well enough to win. Probably, the problem they're having is not really on the defensive end. They would need to continue to be like very high level defensively, and shoot and score at a rate that they haven't displayed the ability to do consistently to overcome that much of a turnover deficit. I think if there's that big a disparity, I think it's really, really difficult for Boston to win. Nearly impossible, and especially if Golden State holds their own on the glass. So.
It's common sense. You turn the ball over 15 times, it's go home. It's just, don't beat yourself on the court. And I can't tell you how many times I've covered games with teams. It doesn't matter what level it is. If that's the line, then 99% of the time they did not win that game. And if they won that game, it's usually they won that game. They didn't win the other 12 games that they did that. So, And their record is off. They're 1-7 when they have more than 15 turnovers. That's like a hello, yes, makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of things in life that are absolute, but you commit that many turnovers, it kind of is. So with that being said, Mr. Pasiak, we will head into Game 6, and we'll head to Boston. Do you think that Boston's got it back in the tank to do it? Can they stave off this? A couple games ago, we were talking about momentum for the Celtics potentially. What are your thoughts on Game 6? Can they do this after losing for the first time ever 2 games in a row in this postseason?
Well, I think they can. They were, you remember they fell behind Milwaukee 3-2, and then it came back and won 2 in a row to win that series. So, yeah. I think there's no question they're capable. We talked off air before the segment. I think that, on the one hand, if Golden State has a big night and Boston's high turnover again, the Warriors can certainly close it out. But it also would not surprise me if Boston gets up big early and ends up winning that game going away. I think there's a reasonable chance of that also. Playing at home and having, I think the sense of urgency will definitely be have kicked in. You would think. I can see them getting up early and running away. I think if Golden State stays in the game, now we get to the fourth quarter and it's a different animal then. I think now you tip the scales to the Warriors a little bit with their their experience and their them having the opportunity to close it out. But I think Boston could. It would not surprise me at all if the Celtics get up big early and kind of run away with it.
Yeah, we shall see in Game 6 here Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch that game and then be sure to tune in and watch Dave Pasiak and I give our thoughts coming off of Game 6 in DT and DP. Dave, as always, I appreciate you very much, and I thank you for spending some time with me here this morning, as always. And I look forward to what's coming up in Game 6, and hopefully we have more life in a Game 7 to talk about. That's what we want going into the series, so hopefully we will get that. And as always, thank you for all that you do and what you bring to the game.
Well, thanks for having me, Dan, and hopefully I'd love to see a Game 7. Haven't had one in quite a few years, so that would be nice to get to a Game 7.
Yeah, well, let's just hope that there's not 72 turnovers by halftime. So, and then we'll get there. I'll talk with you soon, Dave. Thank you.
All right, take care, Dan.
Take care. So, with that being said, Boston, you're beating yourself. Just stop. Stop beating up on yourself. That's, it's common sense at this point. I understand it could be a mental game right now, and you got to work through that mental side of things. It's not easy. I know that. On and off the court, it's not easy, but you got to work through it. You got to work through it. We're not just saying like, hey, Boston did well, they shot well, they took care of the ball, and just Golden State was a better team that night. It's Golden State did enough while you shot yourself. It's like if we were watching an old Western and you got one person, down the main street there, whatever, you got one, and they got their backs turned to each other and they're about to draw their weapon, right? And they take the 3 steps, and it's like right before they take that 1, 2, and before they take the third step, it's like Boston shoots both their feet and their left leg, and then they turn around. That's what it feels like. They're killing themselves before Golden State can do anything to them, and they need to fix that if they want to stay alive. It's as simple as that. If Boston wants to stay alive, it's not good enough to just make shots. You need to stop shooting yourself in the foot, because that has been the Achilles heel of the Boston Celtics. They've been able to do enough to get past it, and it's either going to catch up with them or they're going to force a Game 7. We'll see. I hope there's going to be a Game 7. I want to see this thing go all the way. So we'll see that from here as we move forward. With that being said, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We're getting ready for Fantasy Football in Hour 2, and we'll get to that shortly here with Mike Sofka inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. You're watching and listening worldwide to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Hoping that you have yourselves a fantastic day today, and hopefully you're having a great week. We're going to jump into our next video. You know, on Wednesdays, we separate the show into two videos because of the fact that our fantasy football content is literally like reading a fantasy football magazine, but better, and it's online, and it's instantaneous, and we want you to be able to get to our library, so that's why we do the video separately, because there's so much of a connection that we have to the fantasy football world. So we are going to end this video, start a new one, but not before I thank you once again for being a part of the show today. Inside the Cafe Kubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. Inside of their giant double-decker brown striped building in Manlius, New York, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. And of course, their one-year anniversary location, which I'm very proud of, on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, and that being Cafe Kubal's newest location, and there's another one coming to you very soon. So a lot of great stuff happening with Cafe Kubal, and it takes nothing to fill your cup up right today, so make sure you do that and support local. A big time shout out to my fantastic guests inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', our Dolphin Dive here on Wednesday, which we have throughout every single month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a couple of those a month. We get to feature a Nate Champion, the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach, on his prospect camp, his upcoming kids camp and team camps, and prospect camp session number 2, and the importance of student athletes putting themselves out there in prospect camps, so that there's no excuse on whether or not they're seen because they're taking the initiative to be seen. So thank you to Nate for his time, and thank you to Dave Pasiak speaking here with us in DT and DP about the NBA Finals and having some laughs and having some fun. As always, had laughs, serious conversation, and great talks with these wonderful gentlemen this morning. Thanks to Nate Champion and Dave Pasiak. Tune in live to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. Of course, on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT as well, and on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage where the MixLR feed is embedded. Make sure you're with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Once you go live with us, you can jump in the archive and go to any one of these fantastic worldwide outlets: Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, TuneIn, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Podbean, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Cool thing, you can ask your Alexa device or Google device to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that as well. So we'll find you there. And, of course, we want to thank our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com. Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, and Mother's Cupboard, where we featured 2 recent specials here with Coach Hicks that you definitely want to make sure you check out, because they go well beyond the sport and talk about the importance of building relationships and spending time with those that you care about. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Dolphin time every single month. First and third Wednesday of each month, you have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. We've been giving you many different topics throughout the year, including being the exclusive first place to hear about Lemoyne's look at reclassification and realignment in a potential of going Division I. And then we had the exclusive update to that first finding and first conversation. And now we've had a second update that's also exclusive now that they have the paperwork and all the information that they need to make a decision. And now they're moving forward on seeing what decision that will be it to go D1 or to stay in Division II. Our Dolphin Dives come to you every second and fourth Wednesday of each month, featuring student athletes, coaches, administration, as well as future Dolphins and alumni. You can get our Dolphin coverage by going to the Lemoyne tab at wakeupcalldt.com. That's the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. And you can find us all the time, each month, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with our specials that are airing in our live broadcasts, and be the first ones to it. And for more information on the Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for my proud alma mater, and we have the opportunity to tell the stories of Marywood University weekly around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Fridays. We'll have a great new special coming up for you with someone who has had themselves a fantastic career, an extended career, and some nice accolades to finish things up, and that's Jake Schuster of Marywood Baseball. Will be joining us this Friday, picture-in-picture. Very excited for that. Your Pacer content comes to you on the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and of course by subscribing to our YouTube channel on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Pacers, go to marywoodpacers.com. The Bobcats of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month as we get to feature the stories of student athletes, administration, and coaches. We have had numerous exclusive specials with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats already in just a few months of working with Brian and Stratton College of Syracuse. We've had the opportunity to go to Mother's Cupboard and break the news on Clay Gagan Sherman being hired as the men's basketball head coach. We went to the campus of Brian and Stratton to announce the news exclusively of Tay Baker becoming the women's basketball head coach. And we've sat down with Sean Peak, who is becoming the first ever head coach of their baseball program in its inaugural season. The exclusives have been vast. The time with Brian and Stratton is unlike anything they've had before. So for unprecedented coverage and a spotlight on Brian and Stratton College of Syracuse that you've never had before, make sure you're with us every single month on the BSC SYR tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to us on the youtube.com/wakeupcalldt channel. And for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all that being stated, I want to thank you for watching this video. Implore you to jump off to our next video on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/livenowdt, airing momentarily, where we go to the fantasy football world, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub every single Wednesday in hour number 2. In the Fantasy Football Power Hour, we are zeroing in on the wide receivers of every single NFC team in all 16 franchises they call the NFC home inside of the NFL. So, for coverage that you're going to get in fantasy football in a way unlike anywhere else, make sure you follow Mike and I to our new video coming up here in just a second. And always stay up to date on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, the Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. From the Cafe Kubal Studios, you are amazing. Don't let anybody tell you different, because God made you and made you on purpose. So God bless you. Have a great day. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. Second video coming up in just one moment.